all the participants and ladies and gentlemen, today's opening ceremony will momentarily begin. For those who are joining us on Zoom, please turn on your camera. Thank you. And please change your Zoom name to be your group number, country, and your name. Once again, we are about to start. Please keep your camera on through the entire program, including today's opening ceremony. Thank you so much. Firstly, we apologize for the delay. Thank you for your patience. And I was glad to see you networking and talking amongst yourselves. So let me begin. Distinguished guests, participants, and ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to the opening ceremony of the 18th Northeast Asia Youth Online Forum. My name is Kylie, and I am very much honored to be the MC for today's amazing event. We prepared a small ceremony to open the event. Let me invite Park Sang-yoon and Oh Ki-yeon to the stage to initiate the ceremony. Let's give them a big round of applause. Can we have Korean participants Park Sang-yoon and Oh Ki-yeon on the stage, please? Thank you. Yay. Let's give them a big, big, big round of applause. Thank you so much for coming up. So from now on, I'm going to count, actually, we're all going to count 3, 2, 1. And when we say set, you two will press the button to initiate the ceremony. So are you guys ready? Let's count. 3, 2, can you do it with me, please? Yeah. So let me count. Let us count. So 3, 2, 1, and set. Wow, okay. That was an impressive opening ceremony. Thank you again so much for coming. Let's give them a big round of applause. Thank you for coming up. Thank you. Ready? Okay. To start with, we are going to invite a K-pop dance crew team, Pana. Let's have them on the stage. Please give them a big, warm round of applause. Thank you. Can we have Pana? Can you hear me? Sorry. Thank you for waiting. We're still waiting for Pana. They will shortly be here. Thank you so much.
Another round and round and round. DJ say my name, DJ shouting me out. Order another round and round and round. Drunk when I call you my name, begging you to walk me out. Tell me what you want. 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 Tell me what you want from me. You're my MVP. Tonight I plan on rocking you to sleep. Two, put it deep. Baby, you know I'm a different type of freak. So what you tryna do to me? Don't be shy, too dirty to me. Let's take a shot of Hennessy. Tell me what you want. How you want it? Act up and face down with the loving. Baby, let me know when you need it. 4-course meal, chop down when you need it. Make me Girl, my toes. What's the quickest way to turn you on? Morning, middle of the night. Tell me what you want. I wanna thank you, Heavenly Father, for shining your light on me.
Here we go. Yeah. Okay. Party in the hills until we're always. Yeah. Okay. Tell your homegirls we can meet in my place. Yeah. Okay. Shawty stay fresh, fat ass my waist. Yeah. Okay. You ain't gotta go home, but you know you can't stay. For pulling up tonight. For giving it up tonight. For doing it my way, oh baby. For living in the moment. Somebody ain't got shit to do with right now. Girl, we gon' stay up till I take you down. We gon' go hard till they turn the lights out. And say it's over. My type of baby lover. Yeah. Okay. Party in the hills until we're always. Yeah. Okay. Tell your homegirls we can meet in my place. Yeah. Okay. Shawty stay fresh, fat ass my waist. Yeah. Okay. You ain't gotta go home, but you know you can't stay. Okay. You ain't gotta go home, but you know you can't stay. Okay. You ain't gotta go home, but you know you can't stay.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Team Pana. Let's give them another big round of applause. And yeah, they were like really talented. It was amazing to see them performing. And next up, we have professional dance team Pod. Let's have them on stage. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you. gentlemen, that was team. But let's give them a real big round of applause. Thank you so much. So yeah, please give me a second. Wow, that was really marvelous and beautiful performance. Thank you, Team Bot and Pana. Thank you so much for your fantastic performances. Let's give them one more big applause, shall we? Thank you. Amazing. So thanks to the performers, we opened it really well. But in order to get into a real opening, I am going to invite Dr. Kwang-Sun Cha, the chairperson of MRA IC Korea, the host organization of this program. Please welcome him with a big hand.
Honorable Minister Kim Hyun-suk, the Ministry of Gender Equality and Family Korea, Your Excellency Ambassador Sing Hai-ming, the Embassy of the People's Republic of China in Korea, Mr. Jujo Kazo, Minister of Japanese Embassy in Korea, Mr. Lee Ju-young, former Vice Speaker of the National Assembly of Korea, Mr. Fujita Yukihisa, Chairman of the International IC Association of Japan, Mr. Baek Bum-hum, Deputy Secretary General of the Trilateral Cooperation Secretariat, Dr. Lee Hoon-hee, Vice Chairman of MRA IC Korea, and board members, my dear young friends from Korea, China, and Japan, who are the stars of today's event, and open up a hopeful future of Northeast Asia, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. A very good afternoon. First of all, I would like to sincerely welcome all of you to participate in the 18th Northeast Asia Youth Forum held by MRA IC Korea. It is my great pleasure and honor to be here with you all and deliver the opening address at the opening ceremony. Ever since the first Northeast Asia Youth Forum was held in 2004 under the theme of the role of youth for peace and prosperity in Northeast Asia, about 90 students from Korea, China, and Japan gathered in Seoul every year to share friendship and promote mutual cooperation and development. However, similar to the last year, we have to hold a forum on and offline this year as well, due to the COVID-19 global pandemic. We hope that next year the world can be fully recovered from COVID-19 so that we can meet again in Seoul together face to face. University students from Korea, China, and Japan, who are the leaders of peace and cooperation in Northeast Asia. Over the past 20 years, the Northeast Asia Youth Forum has overcome the past conflict and issues among Korea, China, and Japan by having outstanding college students to come together and actively discuss on the relevant issues, which I believe have contributed to the peace and development of Northeast Asia. I hope that the young generation in three countries can continuously maintain such great relationships and contribute to the world peace by becoming great leaders and individuals. Moreover, I believe that it's also necessary to expand the collaboration in the area of economics, culture, and human networks, which are the purpose of the Trilateral Cooperation Secretariat, an intergovernmental organization established in Seoul in September 2011, with a vision to contribute to peace, stability, and prosperity in Northeast Asia. This year, the theme of the forum is the climate and environmental crisis response and use. And I firmly believe that it is important and necessary to university students from Korea, China, and Japan to actively participate in lectures, discussions, and conversations so that we can all work toward bringing changes and actions to save our environment. Also, I hope that you can pay attention to the UN's environmental plan and UN climate change convention, which are international organizations dealing with climate change and environmental issues. I hope everyone can take this initiative by showing your continuous interest and efforts toward the environmental issues. Lastly, I would like to express my gratitude toward the Ministry of Gender Equality and Family Korea, who sponsored this forum, as well as the China Youth Center for International Exchange and the International IC Association of Japan for their help and cooperation. Moreover, I would like to thank the Ambassador and Deputy Minister for Climate Change in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Kim Hyung-eun, for giving us keynote speech. For the participants, I hope you can enjoy the forum, and I wish you all good luck and health. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ta Kwang-sun. We appreciate your warm message of welcome. Now, it is my great honor to introduce you Dr. Hyun-suk Kim, the Minister of Gender Equality and Family Korea. Although she couldn't make it today here in person, she sent us a message of encouragement. Let's have her on screen.
안녕하십니까? 여성가족부 장관 김현숙입니다. 먼저 제18회 동북아 청소년 포럼의 개최를 축하드리며 온라인으로 함께하고 계신 중국과 일본의 청소년과 청소년 지도자 그리고 정부 관계자 여러분 진심으로 환영합니다. 이런 뜻깊은 행사를 준비해 주신 세계도덕재무장 한국본부 차광선 총재님과 관계자 여러분 그리고 세계도덕재무장 일본협회와 중국 국제청년교류센터 관계자 여러분께 감사드립니다. 올해는 우리나라 세계도덕재무장 운동이 시작된 지 83년을 맞이하는 해입니다. 우리나라 세계도덕재무장 한국본부에서는 정직, 순결, 무사, 사랑이라는 4가지 덕목을 통해 밝고 건강한 사회를 건설하기 위해 노력하고 있습니다. 오늘 이 행사의 주인공인 한국, 중국, 일본의 청소년 여러분, 한국, 중국, 일본은 서로 접경 지역을 맞대고 있는 이웃으로 동북아 지역에 중대한 영향을 미치고 있는 기후위기에 대한 대응이 효과적으로 이루어지기 위해서는 3국 간 협력이 중요합니다. 이러한 점에서 이번 포럼은 세 나라의 청소년들이 기후환경 위기 대응과 청소년을 주제로 지속적인 소통과 공감을 통해 위기 대응을 위한 실천적 해법을 함께 찾아가려는 장으로서 그 의미가 매우 크다고 생각합니다. 여성가족부는 앞으로도 연대와 협력을 통해 동북아 청소년들의 교류가 보다 더 활성화되고 상호 동반자로서 함께 성장해 나갈 수 있도록 지원할 것입니다. 오늘부터 8일간 개최되는 제18회 동북아 청소년 포럼이 좋은 성과를 거두고 성공리에 마무리될 수 있기를 기대하며 함께해 주신 한중일 청소년 여러분과 내외 및 여러분 모두의 건강과 발전을 기원합니다. 감사합니다.
Thank you, Dr. Hyun-suk Kim, for the message. It was very motivating and encouraging indeed. Although we experienced some technical difficulties, I hope the message went through to you. Thank you so much for your understanding. And now, I would like to welcome His Excellency Seng Haiming, the Ambassador of People's Republic of China in Korea, for a congratulatory address. He's also joining us in a video, so let's welcome him with our applause. Thank you so much.
尊敬的陈光善总裁，各位来宾朋友，大家好，我是中国驻韩大使钱海明。新闻第18届东北亚青少年论坛隆重召开，我谨代表中国驻韩国大使馆对此表示热烈祝贺，向为筹办本次活动付出辛勤努力的世界道德重整韩国本部和相关筹备人员表示衷心的感谢。本次论坛呢，以青少年与气候环境危机应对为主题，充分反映时代的需求，具有重要的现实意义。近来韩国首尔等地遭遇特大暴雨，造成人员伤亡和财产损失，令人痛心。从中呢，也折射出气候环境危机不再是书本上的概念，而是离我们越来越近的现实课题。地球是全人类唯一的家园，我们同顶一片蓝天，共踏一片大地，保护气候环境是每个人都要做的必答题。习近平主席指出气候变化事关人类前途命运，需各国携手应对。在2020年气候雄心峰会上，习近平主席宣布，中国将力争2030年前实现碳达峰，2060年前实现碳中和。中国正以习近平生态文明思想为指导，贯彻新发展理念，在推动高质量发展中促进经济社会发展全面绿色转型，为全球应对气候变化做出更大的贡献。我们呼吁各方从为全人类谋发展出发，摆脱意识形态偏见，践行真正的多边主义，坚守和平、发展、公平、正义、民主、自由的全人类共同价值，携手应对各种危机和挑战。中韩日互为劲敌，文源相通，在地区和平繁荣方面具有广泛的共同利益。中方高度重视三国间的友好交流与合作。今年是中日建交50周年，再过不久我们将迎来中韩建交30周年纪念日。中方愿以此为契机同韩日双方加强政治互信，深化利益融合，进一步推动中韩日合作，为地区乃至世界和平稳定、发展繁荣做出积极贡献。少年负壮气，奋烈自有时。青少年是三国各自的未来，也是三国关系的未来。希望三国青少年朋友以梦为马，不负韶华，通过此次论坛增进了解，加深友谊，用你们的青春活力为三国未来发展注入新的动力。最后，预祝第18届东北亚青少年论坛取得圆满成功。谢谢。
Thank you, Ambassador Sing Haiming, for the inspiring and thoughtful message. And this time, I am going to present you Mr. Chujo Kazuo, the Minister of Embassy of Japan in Korea. He's joining us on Zoom, so let's welcome him with a big round of applause. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Chujo Kazuo.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kazuo Chujo, the Minister for Culture and Press at the Embassy of Japan in Korea. It is my pleasure to have this opportunity to welcome students from the 3 countries who will enjoy exchanges and discussions at this 18th Northeast Asia Youth Forum. I'd like to express my respect to all those who have paid a lot of effort to prepare this forum under COVID-19 situation. It is unfortunate that we cannot meet each other face to face. However, this COVID-19 situation have improved our IT capability at home, on campus, in the office, and throughout society. It is no longer surprising that we can hold online meetings anytime, anywhere, even with foreigners. I believe that the younger generation of participants in this forum will demonstrate their capacity online for mutual understanding through exchanges and discussions. The theme of this forum this year is Climate and Environment Crisis Response and Youth. The climate and environmental crisis is a serious issue in the world, including East Asia. We are suffering from extreme weather conditions this summer, especially from heat wave and heavy rainfall. Last week, record-breaking rainfall hit downtown Seoul here, and more than a dozen of citizens, including children, have lost their lives in the flood. The reality of the situation was more tragic than in the famous movie. I sincerely pray for the victims and extend my sympathy to all those affected. Climate and environment crisis prevention is so big challenge that international community must tackle over the long term. However, climate and environment crisis response is an issue for which we must be prepared even today. Crisis response is what we should be prepared at home, in schools, at work, and in local communities, as well as at the government level. I wish the participants from these three countries will exchange their experience of the climate and environmental crisis and discuss the role of youth in crisis response for a better future. By the way, my hometown Kita-Kyushu, Fukuoka, is close to Korea and China. And because of its remaining green rice paddies, frogs can be heard noisily on summer nights. There is a famous saying in East Asia, a frog in the well knows nothing of ocean. Nowadays, this saying is often used to criticize nationalists for not having an international outlook and encourage young people to experience foreign countries. However, as a diplomat, I do not like this old saying. The frog is not stupid. It just haven't had a chance to get out of the well yet. The well is not a bad place. Every place has its advantages and disadvantages. This old saying tells truth, but it sounds like the wise man is looking down on the frog and the well. Therefore, I have modified this old saying and made a new one. A frog in the well knows of it only from out of it. The frog had better to go out of the well once, and then it can realize the well has both advantages and disadvantages. By this saying, I would like to encourage young people to experience abroad, not only to develop an international mindset, but also to rediscover their own country from abroad. Even though this forum is conducted online this year, I believe that participant students will be able to fully communicate with other foreign students through exchanges and discussions, rediscover their own countries, and deepen their mutual understanding and appreciation of international relations. Thank you. シェイシェイ、カムサムニダ、and ありがとうございました。
Thank you so much for your encouraging message, Minister Chujo Kazuo. And let's give him a big, big round of applause for joining us today. And we are moving on to, this time I'm going to present you Mr. Yukihisa Fujita, the chairperson of International IC Association of Japan. He's also joining us on Zoom. Let's have him on screen. Thank you so much.
Excellencies, Ambassadors, Dr. Kwan-Sun Cha, Chairman of Moral Rearmament Initiative of Change Korea, and those participants from 3 countries. I would like to congratulate you on the occasion of the 18th Northeast Asia Youth Forum. I would like to express my deepest respect and gratitude to Moral Rearmament Initiatives of Change Korea, the Ministry of Gender Equality and Family of Korea, China International Youth Exchange Center, and a Better World, who made this inspiring initiative possible. Our world is mired in the COVID pandemic, and a number of simultaneous armed conflicts are happening in many countries, including Ukraine, all taking place at the height of a climate change-related series of natural disasters in too many corners of the world, including the developed world. COP25 affirmed that as far as climate change is concerned, we have already passed the treacherous percentage milestones. Therefore, it is so timely that you have chosen to learn from "No One is Too Small to Make a Difference" by Greta Thunberg. Her activism began when she persuaded her parents to adopt lifestyle choices. It is you, the youth of the three countries, who can choose your own future in order to challenge world leaders to take immediate action for climate change and other problems, as she has been doing. As for myself, I met MRA IOC when I joined a MRA group, Song of Asia, which consisted of 50 young people from 15 countries in Asia and the Pacific. I traveled with it to 14 countries for 2 years. There, I was shocked to know how ignorant I had been about what Japan had done to those countries in Asia during the Second World War. Since then, I apologized to young people in Asia for what my father's generation had done, and also my apathy to it. I did it because I felt that in order to build a better future, it is essential to rectify the past. The first thing I did when I became a politician was to arrange for the Democratic Party delegation headed by Yukio Hatoyama, who later became the Prime Minister and had attended MRA conference at Seoul, Switzerland, to visit a Chinese old lady who had adopted and raised Japanese war orphans who had been left by their parents and soldiers. We thanked her deeply for her generous heart to help the children of the enemy country, Japan. From there, we went on to meet Vice President Hu Jintao. As for the past-war relationship between Japan and Korea, MRAIC has had an exclusive role. In 1957, at a MRA conference in the Philippines, the Korean delegation and the Japanese delegation attended together. One of them was Mrs. Park Sun-suk, who had been a cabinet minister in Korea, and her husband had been tortured by the Japanese army and became invalid permanently. Nido Hoshijima, who later became the Speaker of the Japanese Diet, and the opposition MP Shize Kato apologized to the Korean delegation every day, and they began to talk to each other. At last, upon their return to Japan, they helped Prime Minister Nobusuke Kishi to give up Japanese property claims and other deadlocked issues, which improved bilateral relationship. At the opening of the MRA Odawara Center in 1962, Korean Central Intelligence Agency Director Kim Jong-pil, who later became the Prime Minister, was able to come to Japan, despite the fact that diplomatic relationship between the two countries had not yet been established. He met Japanese Foreign Minister Masayoshi Ohira, which resulted in Kim-Ohira Memorandum that made the foundations for normalization of diplomatic relations between the two countries in 1965. I included you of these facts because I feel that when situation is critical, concerned leaders should seek bold and imaginative solutions. The complex of problems we are facing now are even greater than those past years. Therefore, your mutual understanding and cooperation together may be the key to overcome the difficulties confronting us. You are freer from past shackles and to act to challenge world leaders as Greta Thunberg is doing. May I leave with you a word which is written at the Hiroshima Peace Park, where an atomic bomb was dropped. Let all the souls here rest in peace, for we shall not repeat the evil. This was made by Mayor Shinzo Hamai, who had been inspired to decide on this wording by attending MRA conference at Seoul to see the reconciliation between the French and the Germans, and a visit to Arlington National Cemetery for Unknown Soldiers in the United States in 1950. He explained the reason behind the wording as follows: if all those who bow deeply before the monument would, as members of humankind, bear part of responsibility for our mistakes and offer heartfelt apologies to the victims, I believed we would have the remorse and humility and tolerance that are essential for world peace. I wish you a great success of the forum and great future ahead of you. You all are young agents of change and peacemakers. Thank you. 감사합니다.
Thank you so much, Chairperson Yukihisa Fujita, for your brilliant message. It truly captures the urgency of change-making and the importance of international cooperation. Moving on, the next message will be delivered from Mr. Baek Bum-hum, the Deputy Secretary General of Trilateral Cooperation Secretariat. Let's invite him on stage. Thank you for being with us today. Good afternoon. Thank you.
Secretary General Cha Kwang-sun, Chairman Lee Un-hee, Ambassador Kim Hyo-won, Minister Pang Kun, distinguished young participants, good afternoon. On behalf of the Trilateral Cooperation Secretariat, it is my great pleasure to deliver congratulatory remarks today. Firstly, I would like to thank the MRA-IC for inviting me to this forum. Our world is changing so rapidly in a pace that has never been observed before, or rate so fast that we can't easily adapt to it. It is no surprise that scientists and journalists decided to adopt the term climate crisis instead of climate change. As the world crisis implies, we are in a time of intense difficulty. In front of such tremendous change, it is easy to think that we are helpless. It is easy to give up. However, we must never forget that this is a struggle that must be won. We must have faith that we can overcome this difficulty. To defeat this crisis, we must first act responsibly and take charge of what we can do for our planet. As Napoleon Bonaparte once said, victory belongs to the most persevering. Although tackling climate change is a huge challenge, we must persevere and start with the small things in our daily lives, by recycling properly, by reducing consciously, and by consuming ethically. The most important thing is to never give up. Let this forum be an opportunity for you to discuss, debate, and discover new ways of what you can do for climate action. I would like to assert that TCS is also actively taking part to address environmental issues in our region. With the support of the three governments of Korea, Japan, and China, TCS organizes projects that engage citizens of China, Japan, and Korea. Such examples include the Trilateral Environmental Teachers Exchange Program and also Carbon Neutrality Forum, which is co-organized with international organizations like UNESCAP. Honorable participants, I hope that this forum will mark the beginning of your success as a game changer for the future generation. TCS will continue to support your endeavors in this journey. I hope the event will be a great success. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Deputy Secretary General Baek Bum-hum. We truly appreciate your warm and inspiring words and the emphasis on the need for change. Thank you so much. And thank you. I heard that one of our participants prepared some welcoming remarks on behalf of the entire participants. Please welcome Ms. Hyun-Sung Yoo, who is a Korean participant. Can we have Hyun-Sung Yoo on stage, please? Let's welcome her with a big, big, big round of applause. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you.
Hi everyone here. I am Yoo Hyun-sung, a university student at Daejeon University, the representative of the Northeast Asian Youth Forum in Korea. First of all, I would like to say that I welcome all of you who attended. Due to COVID-19, Chinese and Japanese students are attending online. It is fortunate that there is an environment where you can participate even on the internet. I hope the situation gets better and everyone can participate face-to-face from next year's event. The Northeast Asia Youth Forum is an annual forum held in Seoul, and it mainly deals with activities to share ideas with each other on various global issues. 60 university and graduate students from Korea, China, and Japan are attending. The forum's theme for this year is the environment. The importance of the environment has recently been highlighted. The world is suffering from an abnormal climate phenomenon. Europe is experiencing an untimely heat wave. There was a record heavy rain in Seoul. As such, the climate crisis is spreading not only one country, but also to a global problem. And we aim to come up with practical solutions in the process. I hope it will be a time to discover the meaning of cooperation and solidarity in it. There are limitations of non-face-to-face and barriers of language, but I hope it will be a time to exchange our own thoughts and learn what we didn't know. If we don't talk, we'll never know. I ask everyone to actively participate in the upcoming forum. Lastly, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the Ministry of Gender Equality and Family, MLIIC Korea, China Youth Center for International Exchange, and International IC Association of Japan for helping this event take place. Let me finish my speech in the hope that everyone can enjoy this forum. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hyun-sung, for your thoughtful words. Let's thank her with a big round of applause. And I believe all the participants are with you. Thank you so much. And once again, I would like to thank all of the speakers for their sincere encouragement and congratulations. And now we're moving from, so far it was on welcoming remarks and message of welcome. But now we're moving on to something more related to our forum's topic. So now I will invite Ms. Hyun Jenny Kim, the Ambassador and Deputy Minister for Climate Change, for the keynote speech. Let's welcome her on the stage. Thank you. Let's give her a big round of applause, please. She will give us some insights and perspectives on climate and environmental crisis response and youth, which is the main topic of this year's forum. Good afternoon, Ambassador Kim. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you very much for your kind introduction. Good afternoon, everybody. If you allow me, can I take off my mask, or can I? Sure. Thank you. Much better. Good afternoon, everybody. Very nice to see all of you. Even though we are still struggling because of the COVID-19, I'm very pleased to see that all of you stay in a good health. So I wish all of you a very safe and healthy forum for next 8 days. So today I am happy to talk about climate change. I'm particularly, I really like the title of this forum because it is said climate and environmental crisis. Usually we say climate change. I think all of you have heard many times what climate change means and how the climate is changing right now and what actions we have to take and what countries are doing to fight against climate change. I think all of you have heard many times about climate change. But personally, I don't like the term of climate change. So climate is changing. It doesn't give any sense. It doesn't give a strong sense of urgency and devastating impact. Because climate is not just changing. We are in front of climate crisis. And we are in front of climate catastrophe. So CC is not the acronym of climate change anymore. I rather say we are already passing climate crisis and we are in front of climate catastrophe. So think about the flooding Korea, the Seoul city experienced just a week ago. Yes, it's climate catastrophe. So I'm happy to say about climate catastrophe today and what actions we have to take. Particularly the reason I'm talking to you this afternoon is because you are the generation who will live with the consequences of climate change. So you will live with extreme heat waves and very strong cold weather and very frequent flooding, drought, or very strong super mega typhoons. So you are going to live most probably, if we are not taking very drastic actions right now, you are going to live with a lot of natural disasters and loss of biodiversity and frequent pandemic like COVID-19 and something else. Therefore, you are the strongest stakeholder of the climate change issue. That's why you have to raise up your voice. You have to speak up. You have to let politicians and policymakers know and take very revolutionary, strong actions against the climate change. If not, your life will be really, really unhappy. and very bad in the future. So let me just explain a little bit about what global efforts are to fight against climate change and what actions we have to take further in order to maintain this planet sustainable. Let me start with Paris Agreement, which was adopted in 2015. I think all of you have heard the meaning of Paris Agreement. This is very significant agreement in climate change history of the world, because before Paris Agreement, before 2015, only developed 2 countries, and out of the 3 countries in this forum, only Japan had the responsibility to reduce greenhouse gas emission. But in 2015, all UN Climate Change Convention member countries, they agreed that all countries must reduce greenhouse gas emission because it's common agenda and it's global agenda, and climate change doesn't recognize borders of countries. So in 2015 in Paris, all countries agreed to reduce greenhouse gas emission. However, Paris Agreement provided very strong autonomy to each individual national government. So each government is going to decide how much you are going to reduce. So you will decide how much you will reduce in emitting greenhouse gases. So nationally determined contribution, I'm not sure whether you can recognize this, but the nationally determined contribution, NDC, this is the greenhouse emission reduction plan of each country. So each country will decide how much they are going to reduce the greenhouse gases. And there are a couple of principles in developing NDC. One is representation of a progression. It means your plan to reduce greenhouse gas emission, the ambition must be raised. It means if you decide to reduce greenhouse gases emission by 40% by 2030, you cannot withdraw. You cannot go back. You cannot retreat. That's why the President Trump of the United States, when he decided to withdraw from the Paris Agreement, he received all bunch of criticism from all over the world, because there is a principle of progression. And Paris Agreement has very strong MRV system. What the MRV means, measurement, reporting, and verification. It means each country has autonomy. Each country has the right to decide how much they are going to reduce the greenhouse gas emission. However, you must measure how much you actually reduced, and you must report your achievement to the UNFCCC, to the UN, and the third party must verify whether you implemented well or not. So you can decide, but it must be reported, it must be measured, reported, and verified. That's the principles of Paris Agreement. And let me just slightly touch upon the IPCC. IPCC is an intergovernmental organization, and more than 4,000 economists, scientists, they contribute to publish a comprehensive report about climate change. So far, IPCC, they produced 6 reports and 1 special report about 1.55 degree ambition. And IPCC reports, which is called IPCC Assessment Report, those reports provided the scientific basis about climate change. So in the past, there were a lot of discussion whether climate change is real or climate change has scientific evidence. But now, scientifically, it is proved that greenhouse gas emission due to the human activities. That's the main cause of climate change. It's scientifically proved. And IPCC, their reports actually provided the strongest basis about this scientific discussion. So IPCC produced many reports so far, and I'd like to draw your attention about this 1.5 degrees special report, which was published in 2018. Why this report is important? Because this report suggested that the global community must limit the increase of global temperature within 1.5 degrees Celsius by the end of 21st century. So by the end of 2100, the increase of global temperature should be limited within 1.5 degrees Celsius in comparison with pre-industrial period. So usually we usually assume that industrial period started around from 1850. Therefore, okay, so far, how much increase of global temperature we have? 1.1 degrees Celsius. So only 0.4 degree is left. And IPCC, they mentioned that if country cannot limit the global temperature within 1.5 degrees Celsius by the end of this century, 2100, the global community is going to in face of a lot of very, very extreme weather events and natural disasters. So one example the IPCC presented is if the global temperature will increase 1.55 degrees Celsius by the end of this century, the very hot summer, very hot weather, which will take place in 10 years, once in 10 years, the frequency will increase more than 4 times. And the hot weather, which will take place in 50 years, once in 50 years, it will increase 8.6 times. It means if global temperature will increase by 2 degrees Celsius or 3 degrees Celsius or 4 degrees Celsius, the next generation is going to live under the constant natural disasters, such as very hot summer, flooding, super typhoon, many other things, and also wildfire as well. Therefore, this is really code red in global weather events. Already we witness a lot of extreme weather events. The California wildfire, even wildfire in east coast of Korea this summer, and the flooding in Western Europe, and also flooding in Seoul last week. All those things actually already provide very strong warning to the global community that we have to take strong actions right now. Therefore, last year in November, at the Glasgow Climate Change Conference, more than 100 world leaders, presidents, prime ministers, they agreed to limit the global temperature within 1.5 degrees Celsius by the end of this century. And then they also agreed to significantly reduce coal power plants, and also they agreed to take a lot of actions about promoting green jobs and technology development. And also, they agreed that they are going to increase the level of ambition of their NDC, greenhouse gas emission reduction plan, and then they will submit by the end of this year. So Glasgow Climate Pact. That's really something about 1.5 degree. I mean, you don't need to remember all the contents of this presentation, but I really want to invite you to remember these key numbers, 1.5 degrees Celsius by the end of this century. But that target cannot be achieved overnight. And in order to achieve 1.5 degrees Celsius by the end of this year, the global community collectively must reach carbon neutrality, must arrive at net zero by the middle of this century. It means around 2050. That's why these days so many countries are talking about carbon neutrality, net zero by 2050, which Korea also announced last year. So to limit global temperature within 1.5 degrees Celsius, the global community collectively must arrive at carbon neutrality, net zero, by the middle of this century, around 2050, 2055. That's why Korea announced net zero by 2050, China announced net zero by 2060, Japan announced net zero by 2050, and even Western European countries like UK, Germany, they announced to achieve net zero by 2045, even 2040. So the global community must achieve net zero by the middle of this century. And to achieve the net zero by the middle of this century, that target cannot be achieved overnight either. So that's why countries must develop very strong, ambitious greenhouse gas emission reduction plan. And that's why Korea produced NDC, its greenhouse gas emission reduction target by 2030 by 40%. Let me just find. I'm sorry, I think just one slide is missing in this presentation. Let me try to find. I'm sorry, I think I'm a little bit confused here. Yes. So 1.5 degree by 2100, and net zero by 2050, and collectively 45% reduction of greenhouse gas emission by 2030. Those are the key numbers I would like to ask you to remember. There are a lot of topics to be discussed in climate change negotiation. But I really want to emphasize the finance, technology transfer, and capacity building. In order to achieve greenhouse gas emission reduction target, which is about energy transition from fossil fuels to clean energy, which is about fundamental change of our way of living, those things need technology development and financial investment. Just imagine, to reduce greenhouse gas emission, we must produce electricity not from fossil fuels. It means coal-fired power plants, they must close down. Instead, we have to produce our electricity through solar, wind, nuclear, clean energy. So no CO2 emitting sources. So it needs a lot of investment in infrastructure. And think about the buildings. This building is air-conditioned by electricity. The electricity mostly comes from coal power plants or gas power plants, which emit a lot of greenhouse gases. So the building must be installed by solar panel and wind tower in the future in order to be green building. Think about cars. Most probably you have, particularly the students from Japan and China, you fly by airplane. An airplane is emitting a lot of greenhouse gases. Now, scientists and engineers, they are working hard to produce low emission fuels for airplanes. Therefore, technology development is a key in fighting against climate change. And in order to develop technology, huge amount of investment is necessary. It means we need money. Developed countries who have technology, who have money, who have capacity, they may handle this agenda properly. However, many developing countries, particularly African, sub-Saharan African countries, LDCs, least developed countries, and small island countries in the Pacific and in the Caribbean, unfortunately, they contributed very, very little in global warming, but they are hit by extreme weather events severely, and unfortunately, they do not have enough technology, finance, and capacity to effectively address this climate catastrophe. That's why in the UNFCCC, in the UN negotiation, we are discussing a lot about how to help developing countries, how to transfer technology to developing countries, how to mobilize finance, how to mobilize money to invest in developing countries for their energy transition and for their smooth climate change transformation. So a lot of things are being discussed in the UN and many other international stages. Having said that, I really want to emphasize the leadership by Korea, Japan, and China. So China is #1 in emitting greenhouse gases. Of course, China is saying that Western European countries and the United States, historically, they produced a lot of they emitted a lot of greenhouse gases. Therefore, from the perspective of historical responsibility, China is rather free. That's what they are saying. But just do not too much focus on the past. We are talking about the future. So China is #1 in emitting greenhouse gases. And Korea is around number 10, 9 sometimes. And Japan is around 6th, 7th in the world in emitting greenhouse gases. It means these 3 countries, Korea, China, Japan, 3 countries are occupying significant portion of greenhouse gases emission in the world. And if these 3 countries can work together, and if these 3 countries can take actions together, it can bring about a significant impact in global efforts in fighting against climate change. And also, China, Japan, Korea have technologies. China, #1, the best country in the world in solar panel. Solar PV, it means solar electricity. And Japan, #1 in the world in energy efficiency. And Japan has many other more very advanced technologies in the climate change area. And Korea, #1, #2 in producing electric vehicle batteries and also ICT technology, which is an integral part of climate change technology. Therefore, if these three countries can work together in developing for future technology, and if these three countries work together to collectively help least developed countries or other developing countries, it can really bring about very, very positive impacts. And that's why I think this forum is really important. You are the one who must play a leadership role in the future for the rest of the world. Due to the time limit, I would like to conclude my presentation just with touching upon many other initiatives in the world. Major Economies Forum led by the United States. It is a forum with about 20 countries, including Korea, Japan, China, United States, European Union, and some Southeast Asian countries. So these major Economies Forum member countries, they produce almost 80% of greenhouse gases in the world. It means these MEF countries agree to take some actions. For example, if major Economies Forum countries agree to allow only electric vehicles by the year of 2030, it means they are really playing an impactful role in promoting electric vehicle in the world. And this is really being discussed at this moment. And the European Union, they are taking quite revolutionary so-called actions, carbon border adjustment measures. Europe is going to start from 2023, officially from 2026, because they are going to have a kind of interim period from 2023 to 2026. But the carbon border adjustment measures is another tariff, another tax to the products imported by the countries who is not taking very active climate actions. It means if Korea is not working hard to reduce greenhouse gas emission, Europe, they will decide that when Korean products is importing from Korea to Europe, they are going to put extra taxes to those products. So-called like trade barriers regarding climate change is being built right now. And there is strong initiative about promoting electric vehicles, so-called zero-emission vehicles. And also there is a strong initiative about phasing out coals, closing down coal power plants. So there are many other initiatives as well. And among all those initiatives, I believe that Korea, Japan, China must play a leadership role and must lead the discussion with strong collaboration among ourselves. So let me just, this presentation is open to everybody, so you can get a digital copy or hard copy from the Secretariat. But finally, I would like to mention that this forum is really meaningful, and I already told you that the title, the theme of this forum is significantly crucial in discussing about your future, not my future. I told you, you are the one who has the strongest, the biggest stakeholder. You are the strongest stakeholder in climate change agenda. So have a very good discussion for next 7-8 days, and I hope you are going to produce a lot of very fruitful, creative ideas, what to do, how to do, particularly in collaboration of 3 countries. Thank you very much.
Let's give her a really big round of applause. Thank you so much, Ambassador Hoon Jenny Kim. And your presentation truly captures a sense of urgency, and I couldn't agree with you more that CC not only just stands for climate change, but now climate crisis or catastrophe. And thank you for reminding our generation that we are the main stakeholders in fighting against the climate crisis. And that also climate change doesn't discriminate borders, countries, nations, so the international cooperation is vital in mitigating the impact of climate change. Thank you so much. And we truly appreciate your powerful and insightful presentation. I believe your presentation would be a great reference point and discussion initiator for our online and offline discussions and activities. Thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's opening ceremony. Once again, I would like to thank every one of you for your participation. Let's give another big applause for everyone. Thank you so much. So we are now taking 20 minutes break. After the break, there will be cultural exchange time. So please make sure to come back to Zoom and to the venue by 3:50 p.m. Korea/Japan time and 2:50 p.m. China time, please. Then I will see you back in 20 minutes. Thank you so much.